All right, so welcome to the Mobile CSP Hangout for April 6th. We have a few people here already. So let's see here. See if we can do this. I see Michael, you joined in first. You want to give your introduction first?
Hi, I'm Michael. I teach at Hall High School. Right now we're wrapping up, we wrapped up 6.9 today, which was the big data. We're doing the fusion table stuff for the rest of the week. And then when we come back, we're going to have one day for review for Unit 5 and 6. And then on Tuesday, that's the 21st of April, we're going to give the exam.
Excellent. Just make sure you send me an email to remind me of that so I can put it on my calendar.
I will. I actually just planned it out today, so
awesome.
That's good.
All right. Thank you. Taylor, you want to go next?
Am I unmuted?
Yep.
Beautiful. All right. I'm Taylor Bacon. I teach at University High School in Hartford. We just finished up Unit 6, and we're doing a project now where they're creating a review app similar to the President's Quiz, but using the data storage, so using either TinyDB or WebDB for any one of their current classes. And then part of the assignment is that they actually have to have the teacher of that class try it and write me like a quick note about it. So I'm really excited about that. And I just decided today that they're going to be taking that Unit 5 and 6 test on Friday, but I'm going to let them work in partners. So I'll email you. Appreciate you letting me know that's what we need to do. So I'll do that for Friday.
Does that mean I shouldn't come in to see you?
What did you say?
Does that mean I shouldn't come in to see you?
You're more than welcome to come in to see me. I mean, I'm going to be fielding questions left and right because half of them didn't actually learn stuff. They just make their way through it. It's up to you. I mean, it'd be kind of cool maybe for you to see how they attack the test. I don't know if that's interesting to you.
Okay.
Up to you.
All right. We'll talk.
Okay.
So, Laura, I'm seeing you next. Do you want to go next?
Yep, there we go. Laura Grover, I teach at Colby Cathedral High School. We just finished Unit 4, so tomorrow the students will be taking that test, the 2 through 4 exam, and hopefully starting. No, I know hopefully we'll be starting Unit 5, and then we go on break after that. So that's where we are.
Yep, I have you on my calendar for the test tomorrow, and I plan to see you on Thursday. I hope that's still okay.
Yep, that should be fine.
Awesome. And up next, who I get to see tomorrow, Melissa.
Okay, Melissa Farrington. I teach at Simsbury High School, and we are currently on lesson 6-9, big data. We're going to be doing the fusion tables probably tomorrow in the block, and then we're going to work on a project that they're going to work in partners to try to do a project with list and persistent data that we can use for our innovation fair, which is the 25th of this month. So we are trying to have some new apps that we can showcase as well as the ones that we've already done. So that's kind of my plan. We're going to take the test. We have a week of break next week, so probably the Friday the following week. While they're working on their apps, we're going to try to do some review and work on the app at the same time. So that's kind of my plan. Oh, and shout out to Jim. I used his the TED Talks video that he sent to us on teaching computers to understand pictures, and I used that sort of as a kickoff to the big data today. I thought it went over really well, so thanks to Jim.
Ditto.
I actually just saw Jim today, this afternoon. He's doing well. He's on, I don't know if he's going to join in tonight, but he's on technically 6.6 and 6.7, so he's doing databases right now. If he joins in, maybe he can share. Hi, Ralph. We're recording and doing our introduction. Chinma, you want to go next? You have to unmute though.
Okay, I started the internet with my class because I need to. My class is unique. I know most of you have. So, yeah, that's where we are. So we're looking at the internet. What is the internet and how does data move? So we haven't done much. We haven't done chapter 6 test. We'll go back and revisit chapter 6.
Sounds good. And I got to see you guys today. It was nice. Ralph, you want to go next? Everybody else, besides for me, has done an introduction. Unmute though.
My name is Ralph. What else do you want me to say?
Well, I guess we're right on the same thing. So I'm Colleen. We're teaching the course at Trinity. We just did 5.9 limits of algorithms today, and our students are about to start on Unit 6, right, for President's Quiz. And we have till the end of the month with them. Okay, so thank you everyone for your introductions. Maybe some others will join a little bit late, we'll see. So we have some quick announcements for you. So let's see here. Exam 2, as you know, as we were just talking, Exam 2 is ready. Units 5 and 6 are the only thing that it covers. Just send me an email if you're ready to send it out. If you're ready for me to send it out to your students, let me know what day and time you plan on taking the exam. Last time we met, we were just about finalizing our 2015 cohort. We officially have finalized the cohort, and we've begun communication with the group. There's 12 teachers from throughout Connecticut. It's pretty cool. Another quick announcement is the CSPA meeting is next week on Monday, the 13th. I did send out an email about letting us know if you're planning to be there. We know that it's during break for most of you. And then Shimla and I were actually talking today about possibly in the future changing the date of the April meeting so it doesn't interfere with spring break. But if you're able to come, it would be great. We'll be at the Make Hartford space. They're going to do a tour with us. It'll be a nice little meeting. If you can, come and join us.
Where's that meeting, Pauline?
Make Hartford on 30 Arbor Street in Hartford.
Whereabouts is that?
Downtown, right? Really?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've been there. Arbor Street?
Yep. We have the directions in the agenda. Everything is in the agenda for the CSP meeting.
Okay.
So that's next Monday, 5 to 7. And then the last update that I had for you all is just reminding you that Mobile CSP will have its second expo May 28th. I will have a Google form that I will send out to everybody to have students submit. But this is just the official message to say if you planned on coming and you haven't set up a field trip for the day, please get that in. I know last year we had some students that weren't able to come because the field trip wasn't planned in time, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen this year. So if you think you can make it Thursday, May 28th, do a campus tour before the presentations, before the expo, and then from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. will be the expo itself. We'll have some nice prizes. You can see what the other students and the other classes have been doing. And like I did last year, I'll invite all of the cohort. So I'm going to also invite some of the new cohort. So it'd be nice to actually see if we can get somebody from every year there. It would be pretty cool.
Colleen, is it possible to change the date or must it be that day? I have a field trip that day. And we arranged it a long time ago.
I had already, a couple months ago, I had already reserved the room, and I had asked around to everyone asking about the date it was hard to already pick a date because we're getting towards the end, and there are people, I know there's some weeks people are doing testing. We have the Hartford Expo that's coming up. That was the week before. Remember last year I did it the week before, and that was when the Hartford STEM Expo was, and it didn't go well having it the same week as that. So there really weren't too many options that I was left with after that.
Okay, my students have a field trip. We go to Boston on that day, so it's already booked with Google. It took a long while, so we won't be there.
I'm sorry. I know there are a couple groups that, couple teachers who said they had testing, so they weren't going to be able to send teachers. So it was hard, and even with planning for, it was like planning for the event, the Random Hacks of Kindness Junior event for April 25th. There's so many things going on that day, but the week before there's stuff going on, the week after there's just so much going on. It's a good thing, right? It's a good thing that there's lots of things going on. It just thinks that sometimes you have to choose between what's happening. But yeah, hopefully everything turns out okay. Hope they have fun. So I didn't know if anybody else had any announcements or updates, things that are going on. I could just mention briefly, there's a lot going on April 25th. So if you aren't a part of something that day regarding CS or robotics or anything, I hope that you do get involved. If anybody has any updates or announcements, feel free to share them now. Hi, Betsy. This might be a good time, Betsy, if you want to give your introduction and your check-in real quick. We just got done with updates and announcements. Make sure you unmute. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, Betsy Dillard doing the Create project. At the end of the week, I'll be doing the Blown to Bits for the next unit, which is what, Unit 4? Because I have to go to the New England Regional Robotics Competition with my robotics team, so I'm having a sub do that, and my 2 paras. I've got a question for Mike real quick. Mike, family member just lost her first generation Nexus 7. I went through down to like a low level boot, and it's having, I think it's got like a problem with memory space on it. Really nasty error. What would you recommend for a nice sturdy tablet? Because I know you repair them all the time.
I may not win friends with this, but the Asus, the ones that we have, seem really sturdy. Like, I know I have 10, and I've had issues with none of them. And to put it simply, I actually have 12 because I have one. I bought one for my wife, and I have 9 from the class, and I have 1 from my department supervisor. And I haven't had any issues with them. I know they're cheaper, lower end, but it's the reliability hardware. The other good one that I've seen, and I've heard a couple other teachers talk about, the Samsung Tabs, but those are a little bit more expensive, and you're definitely paying for the name.
No, I think I would have gone for Nexus 7 second generation as well.
Yeah.
Ralph.
We haven't had any trouble with our Asus either, right, Pauline? We've got about 20 being used right now. 24 being used right now.
There's 2.
They're still getting regular updates from Asus, so that's a good thing that it's still getting updates. That means it's because I know it's usually just like the built-in software and the built-in like theme or UI for the Asus tablet, but the fact that it's still getting updates like over a year after release is a good thing.
That's cool. Thanks, Mike. I promised I'd ask this question because I have a total non-techie that I've got running on a tablet. She's doing email, she's doing Facebook, she's doing everything, and I'm really happy because I'm getting, next step is programming an app and better. Anyway, sorry for going offline, guys. Thank you very much. And I'll mute now.
No problem. So, no updates or announcements?
I've got a quasi update. Chimney, you had asked about Raspberry Pis. My grant is due, and I'm writing it with one of the new cohort teachers, Anthony Truss from Conard. He and I are working on a grant. It's due tomorrow at midnight, so like the clock is ticking. We've got it mostly written out. Once we have it in PDF format, we're going to be submitting it to our Foundation for West Hartford Public Schools, which they work on getting us smaller grants, and we're aiming to try and get 2 classroom sets of 12 to experiment with, because one of the cool things that we found out while we were starting this project was Windows 10. Microsoft is going to be partnering with Raspberry Pi and releasing a version of Windows 10 that's built for the Pi, and they're going to give it out free to the maker community. So if you register for it, it's Microsoft IoT and it's Internet of Things. You can register, become a member, and then later on this year you can get a free Raspberry Pi version of Windows 10 to experiment and work with. What we're really excited about, what we're writing about in the grant, is how easy it would be to have all the students have their own personal micro SD cards, because instead of a hard drive, it boots from a micro SD card. So we're probably going to have a couple extra cards. You know, there'll be one for each student to run a version of Linux. And then when Windows 10 comes out, we'll probably get, a suite of the Windows 10 installed on SD cards so they could just try it out and see what it does. We don't know the logistics of how we're going to run it. We're going to probably keep them so the kids set them up during the class and then take them down at the end of class. There's not that much that goes into plugging them in, but it's really interesting to see the kinds of things that are going to come from the Raspberry Pi.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else? Any updates or announcements? All right. So next on the agenda was some updated CSP materials, and I'm kind of going to kick this over to Ralph and Chinma to kind of see what they have to say about this. I'm going to share it in the chat. It's also in the agenda. There are some updated material from March 2015 about APCSP. So if you can take a quick moment if you haven't looked through that to look through that and see what's in this new document with this update. And then if Ralph and or Chinma can kind of give their thoughts, that would be great. They were at 60.
Can we share our screen?
Yes, at the bottom it says.
Yeah, okay. You want me to share my screen and we'll just go through the programming part of it at least?
Sure, you can do that. Share screen would be at the bottom.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, here we go. Everybody see that? Can you see that APCS Principles document on my screen?
Yes, yes.
Kind of see it, but there's this weird blob up in the upper left-hand corner. I can't tell what that is. Oh, it's an apple. Just kidding.
Well, I haven't taken a detailed look at this, but it's not very long, so we can actually go through it. The first part is, let's see, the first part is about the programming language. So since the CS Principles course does not have an official programming language like the APCS does, and come up with this document as a guide. Is that right, Chinma?
Yep.
So you can see on this page the topics that are supposed to be covered. I think our course doesn't focus on these topics specifically, it focuses on them indirectly through app building, but I would say we've covered our materials cover all of these topics. So if we scroll down, you can see that they're going to provide both a text-based and a block-based format. Does that mean that the exam will have both formats, or you can choose one or the other, Chinma?
I'm not quite sure, but I think what it is the kids need to understand. They're going to get the reference document. I'm talking from APCSA.
Yeah.
They get the reference document, and then they are able to, they should understand what the document contains.
Yeah.
If they need anything, they'll draw from it. So I suspect that the block type may look more like what we see. But either way, I'm trying to get my students to understand this document so they don't see it for the first time in the exam hall.
Right. I mean, do you think, if we go through this, I think you can see that the topics described here are things we're covering, even though the blocks don't look exactly the same. There may be a need for some explanation. For example, App Inventor doesn't really have a display block. It has a set label block that would probably be comparable to this, and other ways to display information like notifiers and things like that. But when you get into arithmetic and numeric operations, there really aren't any blocks shown there, but all those operations are covered in the course, including random. Relational operators, those are all covered. Not is covered. And conditions or conditions, I think we cover them. If-then blocks. Now the blocks here look a little bit more like App Inventor blocks. And so I think students should be able to make the adjustment. We don't really have a repeat block, I don't think. We have a 1 to 10 by 1 block, so there might need to be some explanation about how repeat looks, although we did use repeat with the hour of code, the maze examples in our maze example, and in our, did we use it in the logo example? I think we did. I think we made a repeat block for the logo example.
And it's actually on the test too. We asked them on our mobile CSP test about writing a repeat n times. We actually asked them about that.
Yeah.
Are you looking for just iteration? Because technically a clock is iteration.
Yeah, I mean, these are the traditional ones, though, not the event-driven type. So, I mean, it's easier for us to cover the event-driven types than some of these, actually, but we are covering them. We do have, if you scroll down a little further, string operations. We do some string operations, not too much. We certainly do concatenation, that's join in our language. Length, we do. List operations, I think we have pretty good coverage here. There probably will need to be some explanation of the subscripts, because we have the select block for selecting an index in a list. We have the for each block for iterating over a list, which we do use, I think. Inserting, appending, removing. I don't know how much we emphasize those, so there may need to be some discussion of those. Length of the list we certainly cover. Procedures.
We covered that big time.
We cover that. One thing I don't think we cover well enough that I'm going to try to adjust is functions, which are the second type of procedure here, although I'm surprised they don't distinguish them by name. The ones with the return value are both called procedures, and that's the convention in App Inventor too. We tend to make the distinction in the course between procedures and functions. But I think we need to do some more examples with functions. And I actually thought of a good one that I'm working on. A lot of our students wanted to do location-aware apps where you can tell when you're close to a target location. And you have to use a formula to calculate the distance of the radius from that location to your device. So I have an example we can use, and that would be a function. It would either be, it'll probably be the Haversine distance formula. But it's a function, and I'm also going to try to make a simpler one. But yeah, I think we need to beef that up a little bit in the curriculum, our curriculum. Then we certainly cover the logo type operations here in the robot section. So I think overall, the course has pretty good coverage. Now, Chinma, I assume the way you might use this document in your class is before students are going to take the exam, you'd review these with them, with the students? Is that right?
She's muted.
Oh.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. What I usually do is in my APCS from second semester, I give them a copy of the reference material. So they get to know the reference material, so it's not new to them when they see it in the exam.
Yeah.
So since this came out, I've given them a copy of it. So I try to do simple warm-up activities to help them use this. Because I need them to get used to it, even though some of them think it's straightforward. One boy told me last lesson, he said, Miss, I know all this, why are you wasting my time? Yeah, that's quite possible, but I just said, if I hadn't shown it to you, you wouldn't know it. And I need you to keep it, to remember it.
Well, what we might want to do at some point is add a third column with the App Inventor blocks.
Yes.
I don't know whether it would help. I don't know if they wanted to the translation, but I think that if we instead prepared things that look like codes that look like activities that use this as they are outside App Inventor, that would help them more, because that's the type of thing they're going to see in the exam.
Yeah, it should look like the exam, but I agree with Ralph. For the general, to help them do that transition. Is this document, are we going to get a link to this document?
It's right in the agenda, yeah.
Okay. Is that
one thing I'm surprised by in the document is that I think it would be better if the right-hand column was more like, well, I guess the left-hand column has it. Okay, I see. The left-hand column has both text and blocks. The right-hand is just explanation. So maybe what we can start, if this document is a stable document, we can start expressing our algorithms in their pseudocode, their text.
And I don't know where Melissa is, but this is what you were asking for, Melissa.
What do you mean what I was asking for? What it's...
Like more examples, more worksheets and stuff, like them using the pseudocode. So Ralph is saying to express more of the algorithms that we do in this form to match it up with the reference sheet.
Yeah, I think that we need to do that to have them more prepared for the exam. And again, we don't know. My students are taking the pilot exam. We're piloting the exam, so I'll know better what it looks like when they're taking it, but.
Well, so Chinma, is the understanding that they'll see this on the pilot exam?
They'll be given a copy of it.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's like the APCSA, there is a reference document.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that that's all that's going to be in the test. What they've tried to isolate here is the things that are common, that's going to be that cut across the different programming languages that kids are going to see. So somebody from Scratch or Snap and somebody from App Inventor has a good idea of how the College Board will present programming concepts.
Yeah.
So nobody feels at a disadvantage.
I think what they're going to have are questions like, okay, look at this code. Maybe you've got like a little drop-through code that adds up, that computes the sum, say, from 1 to 25.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be expressed in blocks that look like these blocks. Or in text, maybe they'll do both. I don't know. And so you can read it either way. But these are the building blocks that they need to understand. They're not going to be explained on the exam. They'll just be used on problems. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, it will be. That's what it will be used. That's how it will be used. And if a student wants to refer to the reference sheet to help them remember what it means, that's fine.
Oh, during the exam itself, huh?
Oh, yeah, they get to use this.
They'll have this paper in the exam.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize
they have
that.
it.
Well, that's even easier then.
Right. So the key is to get them familiar with it, like Chema said, before the exam, so they know what's on it and they know where to look if they need to.
Okay. So then we wouldn't be able to put the
No.
app inventor column there.
No, but as you're teaching a topic, you can like I like to start in my other course, start at the beginning of the year with this sheet. And as we add things, I show them where it is on the sheet and what's there. So we could be doing that as we introduce new blocks. We go right to the sheet and show them at that point what it looks like. So
That's good.
We just got this though, right?
yeah, I know.
No, for this,
That's why we're called the bleeding edge.
Right. We've got next year. We'll be good.
I'm just relieved that it's not full of stuff we aren't covering.
Right.
Or
I think my biggest worry though is loops, Ralph. I think we're still real light on loops.
yeah,
I think we are too. The other AP exam is super heavy on loops. Don't you think, Chema? Loops and list.
is it for Java?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is a smooth transition. This is not as programming heavy as the other course, so I think this level of loops and lists should be appropriate for what they want.
Okay.
So what I think, which is what I'm trying to do in my class, is to have something. I haven't done much that's really great, but I want them to be familiar with what happens to a list when I add something at a particular index. Then how does it, if I add at the end, the adding at the end they call append. So we need them to know that append means add at the end. Then if I remove, what happens to the index, how the index adjusts. It's almost like you're dealing with an array list in a different way. So these kids need to know how those things are done. I think it's not difficult if they see it before. But if they've not seen it, it will be magic.
I think one thing I'd love to see us do is something that iterates through a list using a loop and an index.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you can think of good examples, send them on the list because we're looking for ways to do that.
I have one of my students did something that is a really nice extension of between Soundboard and the lists on Magic 8 Ball, in that he built an app that it has pictures, sounds, and text that comes up, and he has 3 separate lists, and he iterates through using an index count to pull up the picture that matches the sound that matches the text. So he goes through the list that way and keeps a counter so he knows how many times he's gone through. And then
what I don't understand is why you need a loop for that.
You don't. He doesn't use a loop.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can do
But it's an iterate through with an index.
We have less than 1 minute on this one, so I can stop this one and start a new one. I want to send out the link, and we can just skip over to the next Hangout.
I'll check my creates, Ralph, and I'll see if I can find a good one.
I think we can borrow simple examples from APCSA. there are simple examples where they use loops to.
You know where we could use them in the part where you're analyzing algorithms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we can use some of those loop examples. We don't have to write the loop, but they can read it and understand it.
Yeah.
That would help.
But I know that loops is an issue that my kids have more problems. My kids coming from App Inventor have problems with loops